Dang-a-lang. I can't hear the intro music, but I'm sure it's playing, so I'm going to give you a dang-a-lang anyway. And as it says on my screen, are we there yet? In the Metaverse, that is.
In the
Hello,
metaverse.
everybody. My name is Mal Burns, and this is your weekly news, MBTV news, looking at all the things happening in virtual worlds and haptics for VR and stuff like that. But a little less of the helmet stuff, and certainly none of the meta stuff, unless it's other meta stuff, if you see what I mean. anyway, enough of that. Today is the 24th of April, and we're about to look at some news headlines for the week ending 24th of April. I am Mal Burns. You can find me on Twitter, where I've been squashed, of course. So it's twitter.com/Mal Burns, MALBURNS. That's actually 2 words, but you wouldn't know it on Twitter. And we have an additional feed at twitter.com/Metaworld News, which contains more sort of world-based stuff and hybrid type stuff. Anyway, I'm joined here also by none other than James Atlloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, well, thank you, Mal. Here we are again, doing our thing.
Here we are again. Yes, I think it's that another. I think that's the song title. Here we go again. Yes. Well, something like
Yeah. It's got to be a good song somewhere.
that. Yes. I don't know. Yeah, true. Well, mine's gone blank on that anyway. I'm still thinking of blues songs. I've been listening to them for 90 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, James here is busy behind the scenes. He does talk a bit, but he's busy behind the scenes, fiddling with the knobs, as we say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed, fiddling with those knobs. The knobs in question being audio channels and video positions and video effects and all the things that we tart up the show with a little bit to make it seem a little less like talking heads.
Some stuff and whatnot, right?
Yes, I know, especially my talking head. It doesn't even have
It doesn't even mouth move, right?
It doesn't even mouth move. No lip flapping here. We'll fix that one day, but it's all to do with the fact we're broadcast from the OpenSim platform, where the same avatar doesn't flap anymore. Anyway, I'm not going to waste time on that because we do only have 45 minutes for the news these days because we make way for another program on the hour. So let us see. Okay, I gave you the date, the rundown. I introduced both of us. What more can I possibly be expected to do except carry on with the news?
Right.
Starting with a couple of pictures I seem to have off, but this is just a nice intro picture to make sure we got something on screen. A headset, a hand, and a bit of something. Are we there in the metaverse yet? Well, we're live, so we got that bit over anyway. So that's that would do. That's all we need for that one. Okay, a couple of other things here. I don't have a link for this handy actually. Fancy Bears Metaverse, but this Anna Fomenko is giving a thing on women in the metaverse during the week. Not very helpful if I don't have accompanying information, is it? This one I'll probably mention later, but I tweeted it as it's actually appeared in my tweets as ARK Invest, the logo up in the corner there. Mm-hmm. This lady Angela Dalton had a chat with Philip Rosedale again, enhancing human connection in the metaverse, and as usual with Philip covered quite a load of stuff in a very agreeable way. She was tweeting afterwards how great it was to talk to him, as it were. And finally, the announcement really, this is the XR Safety Initiative people, and they've announced that Petter Estens, I'm not quite sure who she is, but she has been made their new director of XR citizenship and education. So there you go. If you're more interested in that kind of stuff, you can go to xrsi.org. And I think with that I can put my picture bit away and move us to websites. Now, way down the list today, because I'm in the wrong order. This is actually the last entry, but I'm doing it first. We usually start with this. This is posted on Monday. It's thescarredghost.com. Cue the music. Uh,
The
very
sound
good.
effect. All right.
Cue the music has it's what a familiar
Yeah,
people
yeah.
do.
No, I'm sorry.
But unless you're in
Right,
Britain, you
right.
probably don't know the guy actually. Right.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
SKARREDGHOST.com is the name of the website, and this is Anthony Vitillo, but basically under his strange name. Published on Monday, it is basically a roundup of news from the week before. So this is largely stuff we would have covered last week if it was relevant to us. But it's a good way to start the week. And of course, if you go to scarghost.com tomorrow, you'll find, you should, I expect, to find yet a new listing like this for the start of next week. So with that, I can dispose of this and start culling the list here as we move through as rapidly as we can without missing anything. Roblox is, along with Fortnite and various other the newer brand of virtual worlds, it's along with the wrong Meta's place. It has fallen foul of watchdogs. This is not people being attacked or raped or anything else in the virtual world, which is physical impossibility, I think. But this is about they're exploiting users with deceptive advertising. I mean, apparently a lot of. It sounds a bit like the Russian Second Life 15 years ago, where corporations are dying to get in, so they're taking regions in the metaverse, as they think it is, and in this particular case, it's Roblox's metaverse. But they're using all sorts of tricks with deceptive advertising and things to talk people into things. So much so that a non-profit organisation aims to protect consumers from false advertising and deceptive market. They filed a complaint on Tuesday with the Federal Trade Commission, alleging that Roblox has completely shirked its responsibility in following advertising laws on the kids' gaming platform. Full complaint names several major US-based corporations, including Netflix, Nike, Hasbro, and Mattel, as companies that have games on the platform that use deceptive marketing practices. Naughty, naughty. Anyway, read more
Mm-hmm.
about this at the site you want for this is Polygon.com, Polygon.com. And you must read that article so you're aware of their naughtiness, basically. And as I say, we're not linking on any particular thing today. Not yet, anyway. Down to the next one. Okay, this is a site called robreport.com.org. That means it's Australian. ROBBREPORT.com.au. And while the most buzzed about destinations of 2022 is barely developed and widely misunderstood, starting by the fact that it isn't, strictly speaking, real. Guess what they're talking about? Yes, it's the Zukiverse. Oh, no, I mean Metaverse. I mean, well, I don't know what I mean, really. Nobody knows what we mean anymore. It was a concept that we have near on worshipped for 20 years, and now it doesn't even mean anything thanks to its hijacking by certain individuals who shall remain nameless. Of course, they shall. Hello, Lord Zuki. Right. Anyway, interesting article. A realist guide to the metaverse here. It's sort of generally, an all points thing. Where it all comes from, we know that already. The lay of the land, and just general information and stuff like that. So you'll find this at robreport.com.org. Rob Report, that is. Moving on, and we're going to be going to arpost.co, not a com, just a co. arpost.co. And we will get there eventually, won't we? There we are. Oh, a glimpse of it. So, well, there we are. Thinking ahead about XR, report by Bipartisan Policy Centre and at the XR Association. I don't know who Bipartisan Policy Centre are, but I assume they are bipartisan, so they are probably presumably worthy. Exploring some of the risks as well as potential early stage interventions, some of the major trends and findings of the report, and a look into the context of the larger policy and standard movements in XR. So there's a handful for you. But well, as usual, actually, a good phrase here: technology generally moves too fast for policymakers to fully react to, but a proactive approach to identifying and addressing challenges can still help minimize harm and maximize benefits. And pretty much the case anywhere. The European Union is actually, it was yesterday, I think the report said, they've signed off on legislation, though a lot of it doesn't actually come into effect to 2024, which will allow the God Emperor Zuckerberg probably, 18 months to rebuild his platform if he wants to stay in Europe. And of course, they've got more immediate things to do with messaging coming up there. They've the law in Europe now insists that all messenger services, be they Facebook Messenger, Yahoo Messenger, Skype, yeah, they all have to interact now. So you have to be able to ring somebody from Skype in Discord, etc., etc. That's interoperability has to come along, which is a good sort of
It sure
start.
is.
That's a good sort of starting ground for the idea of if you think of phone messaging services, glorified chat rooms, most virtual world platforms are glorified chat rooms too. So if one was to extend the principle to forthcoming, decentralized, interoperable metaverse, then that will probably be quite a good thing. And once again, it would cut the current emperor out of the loop, so to speak. Well, one of them. The virtual one. I don't know about the one in Russia. He's a bit more of a problem. Okay, moving on. This was at arpost.co, of course. Well, no course about it, but he is. Right, next site is called theconversation.com. Yes, you know what it is? It's when you open your mouth and talk to somebody else and they talk back. That is called a conversation. Sometimes multiple people can take part in a conversation, but I'm not in conversation mode because I'm monologue. Wow, I'm in conversation really, aren't I, James? He says,
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
sure you are. Okay,
Right. That's the didactic. Sure, that's good.
Yeah, the site here is called The Conversation, though. So it's TheConversation.com. And can you truly own anything in the metaverse? Well, a law professor has explained how blockchains and NFTs don't protect virtual property. Well, we could figure that out from the start, but some people just love them, don't they? Let's see, the sandbox. You buy 792 non-fungible tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, and the firm then owned the equivalent of 1,200 city blocks. But did it? It turns out the legal ownership in the metaverse is not that simple. Yeah, I think you can buy an NFT and then you can plonk it in on a metaverse. Like you could create a painting or two and an art gallery and put them down somewhere. Your NFT only applies to your ownership of the, I guess, the copy of the art or whatever it is, not the place you actually frame it and put it. Very complex stuff, actually, but NFTs are whatever they be. They are NFTs, aren't they? I'm going to take a brief interlude here and put something else on screen. Just talking about NFTs. How about this for liven up the show a bit?
Keep up the routine and keep getting rewarded. But take your eye off the ball and whoops, that'll teach you. First of all, proceeds from each NFT help support testicular cancer research. This is not just another NFT, it's the first NFT that can save a life. So grab your help by the balls. Non-fungible testicles, dropping soon.
Okay.
Yeah, thought you'd like that one, all for a good cause and everything else. So here we are, back here again. Okay, so anyway, this is a law professor explaining how blockchains and NFTs don't really protect you at all, which is, I've always stayed clear of these things, and there's just too much talk about them these days. OpenSea, for example, is like a Google for NFTs or something. Anyway, good read. Relevant read is probably more to the point rather than a good read, but you'll find it at theconversation.com. And moving on to the next one on my list, we have, what is it? Educatorsinvr.com. A little bit of post about VR research, Univirtual Experience 2022. We covered this one a little bit last year because they had one then too. In April 27th to 29th, that's this coming week, isn't it, I believe? Yeah, no, it definitely is. Their researchers team is showcasing research studies and innovation. And the 3-day conference is in both. I don't know where it's duplicated in both or whether it's what's between the two, but part of it's in AltSpace VR, which of course is the Microsoft virtual worldy thingy, and Engage XR, which is probably of the two the better one. The events are free and open to the public, so you can find this post and more about it by following the links at educatorsinvr.com. So it's educatorsinvr.com. And a bit plug there. So moving on from that. Here we are. Another roundup of the week in the metaverse. Again, this is more the actually, the main reason I get this was so I could play the non-fungible testicles again. But right, I don't think we need much from here. But you can. It's a good read anyway. So every week I think thedrum.com, THEDRUM.com. You'll have to actually look for this post this week in the metaverse because it's not strictly speaking a metaverse site. As always, go to my Twitter feed, twitter.com/Mal Burns. Follow the links from there by their titles, and you will find the links all take you to the exact page you need, as opposed to, the home page of some of the bigger sites. So that's thedrum.com. Moving on to theverge.com. All right, this is a well-known site. This is history. The first two bits of history this week, actually, which is just interesting stuff, really. This is the story of when a virtual city called Cybertown went dark and its citizens rebuilt it. Basically, Cybertown was an early virtual world, and its citizens were called Cytonians. And well, as it says here, coming back to your hometown can be an alienating experience when all you find is a dead link to a long deserted website. But members of the early virtual world, which actually operated, get this, between 1995 and it went on to 2012. So a real sleeper, this one, actually. But a group of former citizens have now dedicated, since 2019, dedicated themselves to resurrecting their old home. It's going to be known as Cybertone Revival, and it has successfully launched a pre-alpha version earlier this year. Find out more about this fascinating thing here, and there is obviously a link to the new versions and stuff. But actually, just the story of this is a wonderful read in itself. And actually, I mean, that doesn't look super modern, but it, as an interface goes, that's sort of not bad for mid-90s, is it? Anyway, something to follow up on there. At theverge.com, so THEVERGE.com. Okay. Moving on from that, and okay, I'll jump to the related one. Actually, it's a bit further down, but I can see it. This link is at metaverseinsider.tech, so that's metaversinsider.tech. So it's .tech instead of .com or .fungibles. Right. Story of something called MadeSafe and a 16-year plus journey to decentralize the internet. Right. So this is again. It's a company from Ayr in Scotland, and they started developing something called the Safe Network in 2006. And apparently the project founder was possibly working on it even earlier. The guy is. SAFE stands for Secure Access for Everything. Everyone, sorry. And it's the most ambitious in the entire decentralized and crypto space. And that's not hyperbole, blah, blah, blah. And they then talk about it here. Now, strictly speaking, this is decentralized community and networking. The idea here extends way beyond virtual worlds, but you can easily see how it would you'd relate it to the modern virtual worlds we use now. And there's links to a roadmap and stuff like that. So, MadeSafe, interesting, and made is spelled like the servant, if that's politically correct. MAID, safe. So you'll find this post at Metaverse Insider, that's all one word, .tech, TECH. Right, so we can put that one away and get back to the real world again. Right, well, today's world, shall we say. Okay, New Statesman is a well-known journal here in the UK. It's paywall, I think, but unless you go there every day, you're probably not going to get stopped until you try getting in 3 times. Will the internet's third iteration free our virtual selves from big tech's control? Talking about where the emergence of Web 3.0, we're witnessing an online reenactment of modern European history. Well, so long as it doesn't include Putin. That sounds good enough to me. Right, okay. Those old enough still remember when sin entered the internet. We've been trying to return to grace ever since. Well, that's their opinion, isn't it? But anyway, they are basically asking questions and trying to answer them, really. It says the creators of the original internet thought it was no more than a product in the capitalist economy, but I always understood many of the movers in the original internet that were trying to look beyond capitalism, to be honest. Yeah, they're looking at cryptocurrency and feudalism, modern democracy, and others, civil wars, revolutions, both the past. The process will often feel like a virtual reenactment of modern European history, such as the turmoil we're in for. And this is just on the internet. Oh, Web3. Oh dear. They make them, don't they? So this is newstatesman.com, NEWSTAT. Sorry, NEWSTATESMAN.com. I'm moving down the list again. Matthew Ball. This is somebody who's often considered to be a major player in the current metaverse. I wasn't familiar with him until fairly recently when he was people were quoting him again. But this is an extract from something called Road to Consensus, which is a series highlighting speakers and big ideas at Consensus 2022. And it's CoinDesk's Festival of the Year in June 9th to 11th in Austin, Texas, that is. CoinDesk, I guess, gets its name for the virtual world interest in, blockchain and coinage and stuff like that. So metaverse. You hear it everywhere. It's mainstream. It's a trendy buzzword. It's even corporate strategy of the day. But that wasn't the case in 2018. This is when Matthew Ball, former head of strategy at Amazon, began writing a series of metaverse-themed essays, long, lucid, influential essays that are almost uncanny in their prescience. Oh, God, that's the PR for you, isn't it? Okay, this the article is at coindesk.com, so it's COINDESK.com. And, I'll just have to leave you to read it, really. It's basically chatting with the experts about, particularly, obviously, about, the money side of it and coinage and stuff. But how things would change. It's long as well, and this is actually a condensed part of the interview. Okay, so CoinDesk.com. Right, okay, this is PhysioSpot, PhysioSpot.com. Is virtual reality more effective at improving balance and function than normal exercise in the elderly? Well, interesting article to read. If you ask me, the answer is no. I get more unbalanced, physically speaking, not mentally speaking, I hasten to add. I get a bit more unbalanced in the headset than I do out of it. And as for normal exercise, well, there's not much on my floor, but there's certainly a lot of wall, and that is an unpleasant collision. Go figure. But obviously they are, I look out the window from my bedroom at the back of the building here, and there's a it's new developed. It's not a new building, but it's it's a care centre for elderly and whatever.
Oh, interesting.
And I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them using VR in it at the moment, but I see the caretakers and then with their early morning tea on the balcony and sort of the carers looking after them and think, well, these people don't actually really move anywhere anyway. And most of the scenes I've seen of like elderly people using VR and enjoying it, they've been pretty firmly sat down, you know. So they're not actually standing up, walking around, doing the high energy stuff that the kids do in virtual reality. So maybe it does improve balance. I don't know, but I just fall over, so that's not what I call an improvement. But that's me, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so you find this at sizespot.com, PHYSIOSPOT.com. I'm moving down. No, that's an appropriate site now. Hyperallergenic.com. What?
Wow.
Oh, hyperallergic.com. HYPERALLERGIC.com. This is my non-world sort of fan. I've always been a big fan of Salvador Dali and indeed surrealist in general. Apparently, I almost didn't publish it because it talked about the Dali Museum in St. Petersburg, but apparently this is St. Petersburg in Florida.
Oh.
So I'm not advertising the Pigeon's World at all. Right. This photograph is great. All the Dali stuff there. It's an immersive exhibition and also in Florida, and there's also St. Petersburg in Port Melbourne, Australia. So there you go.
That Peter.
I hope Pigeon doesn't claim Australia and America have nicked his city. Right. Sorry. Don't want to stir up any more trouble than we've already got, really. Anyway, Dali Museum, etc., etc. Museum is called Dali Alive. It just looks great. It's got a major sort of immersive part to it. So just information for you, really. There, hyperallergenic, HYPERALLERGIC.com on that one, and. We did quite fine on time by the look of it, so that is good. Right, and okay, well that's it. I've got some other things here, but they're for another show in a short while. I'm moving down now to all the links here are my Mastodon account place. And they're cross-posted to my Twitter feed anyway, so although I'm looking at them here on the video feed, as it were, you can click through to these posts from Twitter, and then you can click from these posts. You can either play the videos in line, or you can click on through to YouTube or wherever it is. Right, this one, this leads to an audio podcast, and yes, I'm sure it was an audio podcast. Yeah, from Ark Invest. This is the picture I showed you at the start of the show, actually. So this is the link you will need. You can either follow through from Twitter to here, or if you're quick, you can make a note of that link there and go straight to the podcast, which is a good one. But everything with Philip in it seems to be cheery and good and optimistic, so we can't fault that, can we? Right. Okay. So that one is there. Moving down. This is not as big as it should be, like the other ones are. Don't ask me why, but this is not Second Life. Oddly enough, it's a YouTube interview with Draxter Dupre talking about the future of the metaverse. It's an XR interview series. This is actually a video, but you wouldn't know it from what you can see there. And it's the real, it's not his avatar. It's the real him. Plus a bit of footage of avatar stuff. Talking about the future of the metaverse in general. If anybody knows what the metaverse is, he probably has a fair idea. Even though I hate the word these days. So that's quite good. I have no idea why it is not embedded there. You have to click through to it. Moving further down, though, again, these are yesterday. Charlie Fink's podcast this week. He and Ted, they spent about 15 minutes covering their news, and then their guest is wonderful, Noni de la Pena. But she doesn't actually appear in the podcast. You've got the two of them on video, and they're talking to the screen, but she's obviously connected in voice, so we don't get to see her, which is a shame, because she's an attractive woman, I suppose. It's always nice to see who's talking. Right, better say nothing else. Okay, also a couple of days ago, Between Realities had its latest podcast. This is the one that works a bit with Upload VR these days. They had a guest, Anna Byrne, and oh god, I forget exactly who she is. I remember it was fairly interesting anyway. And of course, earlier than that in the week, we had the VR download itself. This is one of James's favourites. Did you listen this week, James, or watch, I should say?
Oh yeah, I sure did. Yep, enjoyed it.
Good, a good one. Right, Meta glasses. Yeah, Pico. On the other hand,
Right, and you know the I think probably the most exciting thing is has got to be the hand tracking that just continues and continues to improve. And you know I think that's the compelling part about the Quest for me is that you know I don't need all kinds of extra. It's an all-in-one unit, right?
Yeah.
And so you can get you know all this level of interaction just inside of one machine. So it's good discussion that way. Um,
Yeah,
let's see. They also talked a little bit about OpenXR, which I've always been kind of tracking. I was a big fan of VRML, virtual reality markup language, and so I see OpenXR is you know kind of a similar thing. And you know, I mean, really, the story about you know all of the instant messaging services having to interact. You know, we need that for these virtual environments too, to get us out of these all these as you like to say walled gardens.
Well, that legislation is Europe, but
Yeah.
apparently the reach of most of their legislation will certainly include Britain and in some ways maybe America. So, and I think actually American legislators sort of want a similar sort of thing, but it's going to take Europe to, you know,
It'll take Europe
it.
to set the trend, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, yeah, very good kind of show there.
Episode,
Yeah,
yep.
There's something recently, I don't think it was this week, maybe the week before, because Tony Parisi was interviewed someone, and of course he was very formative in the VRML years.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing way back when.
Yep. You know, I just realized another thing here. One topic that they covered was that Meta, our favorite organization, is planning to take their virtual world Horizons and make it a web version. It sounds like
Yes.
So it would not require a headset. Right?
Indeed, I almost included that link this week. I felt like, but then I thought, well, I'm not too keen on giving Meta too much publicity. Really, good like the glasses.
Right.
But yes, that will be interesting. And if people are going to navigate a virtual world on the web on a 2D screen, they're going to have to be. They're going to finally have to get legs.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you know, there was a big article saying why you don't really need legs in VR, but this is partly due to the headsets and the fact it's concentrated on the upper body. But if you have a flat screen, if you're going to put something on the web or on a flat screen version too, you really need to be able to press those arrow keys and get the thing walking. And walking tends to require legs.
All right.
Otherwise, you're going to have to issue a free virtual wheelchair to everybody on the planet, and I'm sure that's more expensive than legs. Right. Also in the list here, of course, last week's Metaworld News. This last week's version of what you're watching now, basically, except we had a bit of a glitch last week, so it was a day late by the time I sewn the two halves together. And In World Review was another of our programs from last week too. Very interesting one that was.
It was good. Yep.
Two guests there. And this is another YouTube one about thought experiments in virtual reality. I'm not going to play it because it's 8 minutes long.
For introducing ideas.
Okay, that's 8 minutes long, so we're not going to preview it. And also, no, this is not the Charlie Fink podcast. All Night, the organization, they have, you know, nightly events around the world. And Scar Ghost and what's her name there, Cecilia, were running one from Florence on the Metaverse evolution and use cases, and Charlie Fink was their guest. So they were talking as normal from Florence, and then Charlie was there as a guest, and all 6 days ago too. Yeah, so there are still more here. Our friend Ivo Haining here, talking with John Radoff, discussing artificial intelligence, virtual beings, and creative economy, and DAOs, digital autonomous organizations. That stands for, I believe. Building the metaverse, virtual beings and communities, and another video, and F Reality. That was April 16th, so we're up to date on that little list now. Okay, all that leaves me to do is bring forward the actual video player for the stuff I've got offline. There we are, the non-fungible testicles again. Right, how am I doing on time? I'm okay here. I've got about 10 minutes to go if I need it. So, the metaverse is making big tech hungry.
The metaverse raises a tantalizing prospect for the tech giants that are now so dominant. One reason for their runaway success over the past 15 years or so is they're not all competing over the same patch of turf. Think of it like a game of hungry hippos. When it comes to online advertising, it's mostly been between Google, Facebook, and then more recently also Amazon. It's a $400 billion market. It's big enough for all of them. Google and Apple face off in mobile with their Android and iOS operating systems. There's Apple and Microsoft in PC software. Cloud computing is an almost $450 billion market, plenty big enough for Amazon and Microsoft to make generous profits in the space, though Google struggles to do the same. But if they were all fighting over the same pool of customer spending, the story might be a little bit different. So far, the big beasts of tech have largely managed to avoid destructive competition. Every time it's looked like they're about to start tearing chunks out of each other, someone has beaten the retreat. Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft all had ambitions in smartphones at one stage. Now, only Apple and Google are left. Microsoft even spent $9.5 billion buying Nokia's handset business back in 2013. It ultimately had to write down almost all of that value 2 years later, deeming the business worthless as it struggled to compete with Apple and others. That all looks set to change with the metaverse. All the tech giants seem to be making plays to enter the space, and not all of them can win. Is there room at the table for every hungry hippo? That's significant because these companies derive their massive valuations, trillions of dollars in the case of Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, from their growth prospects. That's one reason why Facebook's valuation of just $650 billion is lagging. Mark Zuckerberg is betting the house on the metaverse, but unlike Facebook's dominance of social media and mobile advertising, he's going to be facing some very deep-pocketed adversaries. It's not just the classic five. There are also Asian rivals such as Sony, Tencent, and Samsung. If all these companies try to be the dominant player in both metaverse hardware and software, some are going to come up short. Competition is going to be intense. Apple's cracking down on mobile advertising privacy has already hurt Facebook's business to the tune of $10 billion. That's just a taster of the competition that's yet to come. Instead, they need to think about imitating the way they tackled the mobile internet. They all managed to find a discrete slice of the market where they could make good money. So Apple and Samsung, they make bank from hardware. Google and Facebook, well, they're in mobile advertising. Amazon, e-commerce and the cloud, that's also where Microsoft makes its money. Until that happens, things could get a little bit dicey.
Well, credit where credit's due. That was obviously from Bloomberg, as you saw there. Obliged to give them that credit, of course, although it's on screen anyway. When we uploaded the re-edited version of last week's show, we got a copyright notice from CBS, but they were quite happy that it was used. So,
from who? From CBS?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Well, apparently when I uploaded it afterwards, the old-fashioned way, it was detected. Although most of the time we don't detect on the broadcast, but it's good place. We haven't got that many readers, and if anybody out there, if we did click anything that we shouldn't do, let us know, and we will fully apologise. We won't be able to undo it, but we can at least apologise. Okay, actually, but there's no reference to OpenSim there, of course, but I did like the reference to hungry hippos. Which of course is an icon for the open cinema hippo. Right, okay, moving on. We covered a lot of a wonderful VR artist called Rosie Summers, especially in the longer version of the show we used to do. She made up a special 2-minute compilation for Earth Day, which I think was Friday. It was, yeah, I think it was Friday this week. Quite a lot of stuff up on Earth Day, but here's Rosie's little compilation. There we go. Rosie Summers there.
All right, now, so you know I have to ask whose music was that?
You know, I'm really curious too, because that was not her music, and I don't know. It's not credited, but it does remind me of something we used to play a lot. Many years ago on the Metaverse Week in Review, we had a fixation on some powerful voice that had something going on like that. But at first, when I heard it, it sounds like the opening verse of the original 1 Billion Rising anthem, but it's not. So no, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out. So
well, the stream is still going, so we haven't been blocked.
Oh, very sure. Yeah, that's yeah. We better not talk about it too much to draw attention to ourselves. Right. Okay. There is another VR platform called Sensorium. Sensorium, basically Sensorium Galaxy, and I got a couple of clips from them. So just half a minute each. So here we go.
I've been working in video games for over 15 years. So even though this thing we're building now, it's not a game. It's about interactivity. It's about social interaction as well. But we're still applying everything we know from gaming. It's like the full experience. With everything you have hands and legs, you have a body, you have a voice. We're sort of like involving almost all your senses.
Yeah, he's got legs. He just told you.
Users are free to move around the world and explore them.
Oh, hang on. What's she doing? Right, there we are.
Within Sensorium Galaxy, we are creating a digital metaverse that revolutionizes the way people interact with each other and experience the arts. In the alternate universe of Sensorium Galaxy, users immerse themselves in exciting new worlds to get together with their friends, their loved ones, meet new people, and participate in unique virtual activities. In Sensorium Galaxy virtual worlds, we let the user set free from their earthly limitations and expand their personal boundaries. With an assistance of a VR headset, desktop, or mobile device, users are free to move around the world and explore them.
There we go. And finally for this bit of the clips, there is Oasis Metagames. And this is the Oasis Metagames HQ. They've introduced some avies. That means avatars, and they're interesting avatars. In Second Life, there is a rather absurd video broadcast called the Giant Snail Races. Well, Oasis Metagames have come up with some snail avatars, and I've got to say, it'd help to go to the beginning, wouldn't it? So there we go.
That's great.
That was wonderful. And I'm finishing on a clip here. That's actually an aerial shot of a place called Bridgemere on Open Simulator. And in the InWorld review on the hour, we will be back on air talking to the owner of that particular region. So rather convenient it's there. Now, I did have one more clip to show. In fact, I can't show it because
on social media, but tech companies are now pinning their hopes on the metaverse as the future. It's an online world where you can interact, shop, and socialize.
Now, Mark Zuckerberg, he of Facebook fame, amongst many other things, says the metaverse will allow us to teleport instantly as a hologram to be at the office without a commute or attend a concert with friends no matter where you live and kind of experience it. Extraordinary, isn't it? But critics say it opens up opportunities to hackers, fraudsters and criminals, including dangers to children and, of course, without parents realising because they're experiencing it themselves.
Carol Vorderman's been campaigning for online safety for children for the past 22 years and joins us now. Carol, so this is the...
Right. Well, as I say, I can't play this. This is actually I'm live on Good Morning Britain, a morning show on ITV in the UK here. I'm a big fan of Carol Vorderman, actually. She used to host a show called Countdown, and she was a graphic designer. She's even, back in the day, I think, designed some games. She's also a highly accredited mathematician. Oddly enough, I barely recognised her because she used to have dark hair and a very much more simplistic, non-made-up look, you know, a little bit of makeup or whatever. Now she's done the whole glam thing, which, given her age, she still looks pretty young. But that, I shouldn't be talking about that sort of stuff. Sadly, that's 10 minutes long, so there's no way, at least today, I can actually show that because we've got to go off air. But if you find it anywhere, you might be able to go to ITV Hub or something like that in the UK and find a replay of it, because she knows what she's talking about. She does seem to have gotten a bit strict on the idea of regulation, rather not quite as open-minded as I thought she would have been, but nevertheless very pertinent. Okay, so we're about ready to close the show. We have to, actually. So James, any thoughts on the shenanigans of the day? Or
No, just no. Things just keep continuing to go on. I saw a story today about VR chat, and they have introduced some pretty amazing avatar dynamics in the way that avatars can interact with each other. So hopefully that'll be a story you come upon next week. But this virtual space keeps growing and growing.
I think I covered the VR chatting last week.
Oh, okay.
Maybe,
Yeah, maybe
actually,
so.
to be honest,
Yep.
I read and post so much more than we cover on this show that,
Yeah,
you know,
yep.
I don't know whether I'm coming or going half the time, but, you know, for the show here, I pick out the best of what we got.
Yep.
Okay, so we are about to leave you. Keep safe, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the show, by the way. We will be back same time, same place next week, in a manner of speaking. And I'm pleased to say that with a bit of luck, we won't be split into two. Cough, cough.
I think we've made it.
Yes, we made it safely. So keep safe, everybody. Stay indoors if you can. Avoid the spiky stuff, invisible spiky things. I won't even comment on the eastern part of the planet. Just keep safe, everybody. Stay healthy and enjoy the sort of spring and summer that's approaching, at least if you're in the northern hemisphere, because it makes all the difference, doesn't it? Okay, so for now, we're off. Bye-bye.